Okay, I'm gonna talk quieter because I've been talking the whole day and I've been singing. Uh, I covered how programming works, so you should understand the different functions that we use to build machines and then programming them and how they work. Now we'll get into some examples of Java or C++ or Python, or those are the main ones. C Sharp, C Basic, TypeScript, JavaScript, Java. So let's get into some examples. So the first thing you need is a developer platform. What is a developer platform? That is where you are going to write your code. So they're usually free and they ask for donations when you install them. This one is called Eclipse, but there's many ones. There's like Android Builder for Android, Apple iOS Builder for Apple, and mainly they have. Oh, okay, can't. I have it open already. If you go to File and you go New Project, there's the languages: Maven, Java, Gradle. What's General? General Project. So I have installed Java. So it reads the it lets you so see this text. Why is it blue and red and tabbed, indented, and whatever? It's because this platform is reading Java and making it the layout nice and pretty for me based on how Java works. So every time you type a new bracket, it automatically shifts everything to this side and puts the closing bracket there. And you have these little arrows here to close, right? And you can also access other projects here. And these are the debugging. And you have a whole bunch of other commands here. Then you can actually run it. So if you click run, this is a little game I made where you just shoot these balls. And then if you hit one, dead. So these platforms allow you to interface with the code, and they also allow you to run the code and test the code. Okay, so that's all a developer software is. It's called developer software for developers, and then you have your languages. Now SQL, a simple SQL. Let's open SQL. I have SQL. So SQL. Well, I have Access. Access is your database. And I got my first database. And this is how a database works. It's not a software. It's not a language. You just type in. It's like a spreadsheet. So you see here I have person, price, date, hello, field. So you can select these, and then you can filter fruits, apple, orange, and you can create new, and you type new, and you type what all of these are, and then you can so that's how you work in a database and store your data. What's this? And then these are the reports on the data. So this is the report: how many apples, how many oranges there are. And these are queries, searches, and specifics on the data. And this is your reports on the data. So that's how SQL works. And then we have our languages. Okay. These are our languages. Now, if you're obviously a goddamn engineer or a software programmer, you know more than I do. And this is basic to you. Hopefully, you got some information from the how programming works and how machines work video. But this video will not be very useful to you because you already know what the hell's going on. But let's see if we can build stuff. So, let's see here. Let's go into this one. So, these are, you see it says vars up here. These are variables. Variables are variables mean labels. So think of them as labels. So this is the type and this is the name. So thread, runner. Boolean means true or false. Runner stall. So this runner stall will either have a value of true or false. So example, I say, if runner stall not equal to true. So I named it runner stall. So if it was true, that means runner would be stalling. So if runner stall equal to false, then execute this command. So that's what a Boolean is. Now I have an int. Integer for counter. It's literally going to count up in integers. What does the integer mean? It's not a fraction. So integer is a whole number. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It can't be 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. It's got to be a whole number. That's what an integer is. Got more Booleans. A pressed. True or false is A pressed. Is W pressed. Is S pressed. Is D pressed. Is space pressed. Is B pressed. Right? These are from Java. So I can see what... So a panel is what's center panel, north panel, south. So what's on the screen? That's a panel. A button. These are, and if you look what a button is, Java tells you what the hell a button is. So in order to use a button on a panel, you need to import them. So import panel, import button, import frame, import label, import image icon, import buffered image, import drawing, paint, graphics, image. These listeners, action listener, key listener, are when you press the mouse on the keyboard. So when you press the mouse on the keyboard, you need to ask the computer to access the mouse on the keyboard. And that's done through the API of Java for these key listeners. So then I will go like, if the key listener for mouse left click has been activated by reading the mouse from this key listener, we're gonna say left click equals true. Or for the action listener is the mouse. Now for the key listener, same thing. If the key code was 1105, then D is pressed. If the key code was 333, then I'm going to turn this Boolean S pressed to be true. Now in order to the program to start, you need a main method. It goes like this: public static void main string args. And this is the absolute first where the program starts reading. The program starts reading, I said, JOption pane dot show message dialog null. Null means nothing, empty, means does not exist in Java. Some programming languages don't have the option null because it causes problems. When something doesn't exist, your code crashes. Your code can literally crash if you try and activate something that doesn't exist. But Java uses this. So you just got to be very careful and debug a million times. And my first thing the program does, it says, welcome Maverick. And the title of that message is Maverick or whatever, okay? And then I say new Top Gun. New Top Gun. And where is Top Gun? Public Top Gun. That's it. These brackets are mandatory in case you want to put something inside the brackets. So whatever you put inside the brackets is called the argument. So argument. So example here. Try thread.sleep. What's the argument? 1. Thread is like the continuous streaming. So try to stream the program and then try to pause it. Sleep is pause. Try sleep for 1 second or millisecond or whatever that 1 means. Now, what's the point of that command? The point of that command is to create animation. So if I want to move something across the screen, what does this program do? Welcome Maverick. Play. So it's moving these 2 images across the screen back and forth. I'm not touching any buttons or pressing anything. The program is just doing this infinitely. Now, if I were to change that thread sleep that you saw from 1 to 10, it would go slower because that's how animation is created. You're drawing the picture and then you're pausing for a second and then you're shifting all the calculations. So shift 1 pixel, draw it again. So if you never paused it, it would just draw it at the start and then draw it at the end. But because you are pausing every 1, whatever that 1 was, 1 second, 1 millisecond, 1 nanosecond, it pauses and creates the goal of animation. And it's all about organization. So these are methods that I created. Initiate vars, initiate frames, load images, start. Now, these are called methods. So methods are just, this is a method as well. Method is when you have this little arrow. So it's open bracket, this squiggly bracket, and all the commands. And when you put a semicolon, that executes a command, executes a command, executes a command, a semicolon. So initiate vars. So if I go down here, this is a method. Public void initiate vars. So every time I type that command up there that said initiate vars with a semicolon, it is executing from here down to here. Right? Or where does this end? Where does it end? From here all the way to here. And then when I call initiate frames, it executes from here all the way to here. So all this happens when I load this command. It's just a method of organization. That's what methods are. So set size of the screen. These panels that I call, these are names. So names that I created panels and then equals new J panel. So if you don't say this equals a new J panel, what that means is north panel is going to be null automatically. And anytime you try to use north panel like this, north panel.add play button, if it's null, your program's going to crash. So you got to say new panel. And then you can do stuff to it. Add a save button, add load button, add help button. All right. And then I have the load images. Load images. Try means in case the program crashes, catch, do this instead. System.out.println. So print in the console, failed to load Top Gun icon, semicolon. All right. And what I'm trying to do is try to load from C users Nikola Pictures spray.jpg, gun spray. All right. So try to load that picture. If I didn't say try, if I just said load this picture and this picture didn't exist, the code would crash. So if I can't load it, then I'll do this instead. Now let's see if I have any loops here. And that's the whole code. Here is a ifs command. So if, now you, if you just say dead, it's the same thing as saying dead equals true. So this is just a shortened form. When you write code, you can do a lot of short forms. But if you're new, you can say if dead equals true. So if dead equals true, help me plus plus. So plus plus means increment by 1. So it's the same thing as saying plus equals 1. Now the difference is you can say plus equals 10 or 102 or 100 and you can do that instead. So if you were to take this plus plus and put it here, that's what would happen. It would change it by increasing it by this much. But if you just want to increase things by 1, they made a short form plus plus. Here's another if command. If poisoning is greater than or equal to 300. So if poisoning is greater than or equal to 300, if you've been poisoned by more than 300, dead equals true. You are dead. And here I have integer poisoning equals 7. So I'm creating an integer poisoning equals 7. Now I can then say so oh, oops. Why is it? Okay. So here I wrote int poisoning equals 7. And now I can just use poisoning plus equals 5. What I can also do is say if damaged, so if you were attacked, I would use another if statement. So like this if. So if hit by missile, then poisoning plus equals 5. Okay? So that's how I would use poisoning. So when you say int, you create it. So I create the term int poisoning. What's it? It starts at 7. And then in the entire program, I can use it depending on where it was created. So it was created here, so it has to be used inside this method. But if you create it globally, like these were created at the start of the code, then I can use them anywhere I want in the entire file. So let's get rid of this. And that's your if statement. And the last one, here's the load button. So load button dot add action listener, new action listener. Int health equals 100. This is just random crap, but action performed. So action performed. So add an action, load button, add action listener. action performed. So if you click, this is how it works. If you click the load button, then I'm going to say health is plus health. Health plus equals 20. Health equals 100. So that's like that. And that is this whole program for Top Gun. Here's the keyboard. Key released. If key code equals 87, W pressed equals false. So key release. So you're releasing the key 87, which is I labeled as W. So W equals false. System.out, print in the console byte. So what you do is you don't program when the keys are pressed. You program when the keys are released. That's a video game. So the video game can work either when the key is pressed or when the key is released. I do it when the key is released, which means you pressed it. You pressed it. Because if you do it when the key is pressed, you could just hold it for a long time. So when you release the key, then byte. All right? Here's some more programming. Gun.x location. So x location was a number on the screen. So if this number is greater than 355, and this was where the pixel where it's going to draw. It's going to draw at this pixel, x location, greater than 355. Move forward equals false. Stop moving forward and attack, right? And where does that work in paint? Where's my paint? Gun. So this is a file. So files are just like methods. Remember I said it's where stuff is organized. And it's just like a method, but it's a different file. So gun has all this stats to it. So all this stats. So when I say new gun and I say gun number 2. So I say gun number 2 equals new gun. And then it has all of this stuff, damage, score. So I can create this object I can create a gun many times, and it's gonna have all this stuff. All right? And I set it to X location, Y location, speed, damage, time, score. All right? And then when you paint, I say draw image. Where do I draw it? Set the color font to black. Set the color font to plain. Draw words on the screen. Time plus time. Game hunted plus score. If attacking and attacking greater, attack cooldown. So this is attack CD, attack cooldown greater than 5. Set the location. Set the location. All right. And that's the entire program for Top Gun. Now, all those variables you saw, I didn't use them all, but I was just practicing. What I was doing when I was practicing, I wanted to practice health, poisoning. There's obviously no health and poisoning. There's no characters in the game, but I wanted to practice health, poisoning, and calculating and all that stuff. So I just included that in the code. And the last thing I can show you is a loop. So this is a loop. It says the enemies. So it starts off like this. 4. 4 is how you start a loop. So you start off at 0. And then until it reaches total enemies plus increase by 1. And this is the number we're counting on I. So if enemies at I, so I starts at 0, but it's going to go up to, say, 1,000,000. So if I starts at 0 is not equal to null, it means it exists. So this is not equal. So if it exists, then I'm going to fill an oval with the enemies. X position, Y position, size. All right? Go up to the next enemy. So if enemies in the list, 2. So the second entry in the list is the next enemy. If it exists, Draw an oval. All right. And those are loops. And that's how programming works. You have your variables, your integers, your types, your objects. You have your files where it's a gun, it's a character, it's a wall, it's a bullet. So you have a billion of those that have a location, that have a size, that have a color, that have a speed, that have a damage, that have a number. So you create a bullet with all these properties, and then in your main file, you say create how many bullets you want to create. You have your animation by pausing the program. You have your graphics by drawing graphics on the screen and loading images and the location of the pixels. There's no 3D. I don't know how 3D exactly works yet, but it's something like that. You have your if statements, which are usually for the true, false. Or it can be greater or less than. So if this variable is less than this number, or if it's greater than this number, or if it's true, or if it's false, do these commands. And you have if else. So if else if. So if it's true, do this. Else if it's greater than 10. Else if it's greater than 15. Else if it's less than 25. So you can put them in series, and you have a different tree of which command is being executed. Then you have your loops. Then you have your methods, organization, and like that's exactly what you do, and you just repeat that. And you have documentation. So documentation was anything in green. So when you type bracket, it automatically turns to green. Green is just regular human language. It's not going into the code. And that's how you explain what you're doing. So look at this. So here I explained. Load stats. Thread loop. Increase time encounter and then cycle. So you put dash and it goes in green. And that's how you make your programs. And they all start from the main method, where the program starts from. And then you have your APIs, which are, here was the panels and the frames. So and the buttons. So the buttons, the panels, and the frames, and the mouse and the keyboard were all taken from an API, application interface, programming interface. So from Java. So Java told me how to interface with a panel, with a frame, with a button, and with the keyboard and with the mouse. So all that stuff Java has access to. I just have to ask Java to use it, and I do that through the API. Add action listener, add keyboard listener, add button, import panel, import frame. And then all those frames and buttons have different commands within that API. So it's like if I want to set the size, if I want to set the color, what is W number 87 is mouse press number 5, number 6, number 7. So Java labeled what they all are. So I just got to look in the API and see, okay, to press the letter S, it's key code 95. Java will tell me that in the API. So then in my code, I say if key code equals 95, then I know it's S. So, and you do that for the panels, the keyboard, the mouse, and that's how you interact with your system. And that is how you make programs. All right, it's calculations, it's logic, and it's objects and interactions and if statements and loops. So I hope this made sense. Leave a like, leave a comment, share it with a friend, and keep it real.